for the benefit of the people of Meru. The governor has been impeached again. Again, it saddens me because we were in the first line with Senator Gloria supporting and being happy that the governor has survived. Now again, it has come back. As on this particular platform, we try the plenary way so that we get now to understand the real issues. Also as leaders, as women, to understand the deeper issues. The only answer is on plenary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kavindu.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa hii fursa niweze kusupport hii motion ya kwamba hii impeachment ipelekwe kwa committee. Na Bwana Spika, nimesikia wengi wakisema ya kwamba hii impeachment motion ikipelekwa kwa committee haitapata haki. Hii inamaanisha kwamba zile petitions zote na statements na motions zinaletwa hapa na zinapelekwa kwa committee hazipati haki. Hazipati haki kabisa. Zinapata haki, ninaamini zinapata haki, na kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nina support hii motion ipelekwe kwa committee ili watu wa Meru waweze kupata haki yao, na pia Governor Kawira aweze kupata haki yake na wawe na wakati wa kuwasikiliza vizuri. Bwana Spika, nimekaa kwa committee ya impeachment mara mbili. Hii ya Kawira imekwisha na ingine ilikuwa ya Western, ilikuwa ya Northeastern. Bwana Spika, pale kuna wakati mwema sana wa watu kusikilizwa. Kama ni governor asikilizwe, kama ni malalamishi ya MCAs na watu wa Meru pia wasikilizwe vizuri kwa makini. Na kwenda kwa committee haimaanishi ya kwamba watu wa media hawezi kuja pale, watu wa Meru wakaweza kufuata kabisa kile kinatendeka kwa committee. Mimi niko kwa committee ile ya Bomb Blast 1998 na kila wakati munaona kwa media. Kwa maana tunaita watu wa media pale kuja, itakuwa wazi hata kwa committee. Nina support iende kwa committee. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Wamatenga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise from the onset to oppose. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am quite perturbed by the mathematics that have been done in this House. I thought, Mr. Speaker, sir, that a bigger number will give us a wider base of knowledge. Mr. Speaker, sir, 11 members cannot and will never possess the knowledge that the 67 members in this House must have. As has been mentioned by my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, I do not want to repeat that this is the second time that the governor will be coming here, and therefore it is very important that the whole nation, indeed, and specifically women in this country, get to follow the issues so that it will never be blamed on the Senate that it was a gendered issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, the only opportunity that we have is to open up for everybody, for all the 67, including our colleagues, the women, so that it will be said that the Senate did justice to the people of Kenya, to the people of Meru, and most importantly, to our daughters who are also aspiring in the future to become leaders. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I hear the names of the 11 members, I must admit that we do not have two sets of brains. That one you leave when you're going to the committee and the other one that you take when you're going to the plenary. Mr. Speaker, we use the same brains. Whether we are 11 here in the House or we are the whole House. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important. This is an emotive issue and we must consider the weight it carries by going the plenary way so that the whole Republic of Kenya will know that indeed this superior house has the composition to deliver justice not only to Kenyans but of course to the future generations. And I want also to be very future-centric. We need to give the confidence of all our daughters who aspire to become leaders that indeed the House of Senate can deliver justice by opening this so that it will be discussed in clear daylight for everybody to take home. Mr. Speaker, I oppose.
Senator Mwaruma.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to support the motion by Senator Lamolekina. Firstly, I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that both ways, plenary way and committee way, are provided for in the standing orders. However, Mr. Speaker, one of them is better than another in terms of how we approach the proceedings. Mr. Speaker, when you go the committee way, we have an opportunity to have an in-depth understanding of the cases because we interrogate the documents better when we are fewer, Mr. Speaker. We had opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to go through the same petition of Kawira Mwangaza, Honorable, when we were led by Senator Boni Khalwale, Dr. Boni Khalwale. And I think the work that was done in that committee was a sterling job. We looked at the documents very soberly, and we came up with a finding that the allegations were not substantiated. When you went the committee way in the case of Deputy Governor for Siaya, again, the committee that was there looked at the documents, and there were some allegations that were substantiated. But again, there was opportunity when you came to plenary, again, to overturn the findings of the committee, and Honorable Odol was let off the hook. So, Mr. Speaker, I think both ways are okay because they're allowed in the standing orders, but it's better when you use a committee because then we can interrogate the issues much better to have a close understanding and a better understanding of the issues. Mr. Speaker, when I saw the list from the majority side, I knew we were set. It was a poison chalice because the same members who had participated in the other petition for Kawira Mwangaza were the same people who were put in the committees. So I knew they were set so that they can be disenchanted, so that they can be disenfranchised and vote against the committee way. So I think, Mr. Speaker, I would be waiting for the vote, but most likely, if we go the committee way, then you can give the people of Meru the justice that they require, Mr. Speaker. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me use the word of Senator Maruma. Thank you very much for noticing the issue of the 6 members. And Senator Ledama should have known this. And I think we don't need to waste a lot of time. Mr. Speaker, Article 181 is very clear. It talks about the impeachment of a governor. Standing Order 80B1 talks about special committee. B2 talks about the plenary. Mr. Speaker, 7 governors were impeached since 2013, starting from Governor Wambora, Governor Chepkwony Waititu, Anne Waiguru, Mike Sonko, Mohammed Abdi from Wajir. This is to notify Senator for Machakos. We don't have a governor, a county called Northeastern. We have a county called Wajir. That is where Mohammed Abdi comes from, who was impeached. And the latest governor to be impeached now is Senator Kawira Mwangaza from Meru. And also, we had an opportunity to have our guest here, Deputy Governor, Dr. William Odwol. William Odwol went through 11-member, Martin Wambora, 11-member committee, Chepkwony, 11-member committee, Anne Waiguru went through 11-member committee, and also Mohammed Abdi went through 11-member committee. And the latest one, the previous Governor Kawira went through 11-member. And Waititu went through plenary, and also Governor Mike Sonko, Sonko's impeachment went through plenary. Mr. Speaker, these methods are all okay. And I don't want to say I will support it or oppose it, but I would want to ask our brothers on the other side, let us not argue on this. Let's go plenary way. because it's an experience for some of us also to learn this process for new members like me and others, and those members who didn't go through this process. I will request kindly, let's follow this process and have plenary way. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, as I rise to comment on this motion, the leadership of this House, and those are the gentlemen and women we have put in the Senate Business Committee, should spare us this agony that we are going through. Mr. Speaker, this debate has not helped to educate anybody. It has only helped to expose the bias amongst the judges sitting in this House. Senators will be sitting as judges, and the bias is clear. Everyone who stands on my side supports. Everyone who stands on the other side opposes. And yet we have not even heard the case. We have only read the charges. Mr. Speaker, in future, I want to encourage the SBC, because that is where the numbers are balanced, and we've got our leaders that we trust, and the leaders that we have entrusted with a mandate, to bring us a formula that will not be subjected to debate. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the leader of majority referred to Standing Order number 80.
What is the point of order, Senator Ledama?
Mike. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise on Standing Order number 80, which is the standing order that we are prosecuting. And I would not wish to disrupt my colleague and brother, who I respect quite a lot. But is the distinguished senator from Homa Bay in order to suggest that the House Business Committee can make a decision which is clearly stipulated on how that decision should be made in our standing order? Mr. Speaker, this House, the House Business Committee, deals with the calendar of the House. Matters are resolved. In fact, when you read, Mr. Speaker, you clearly indicated that this is a decision, a resolution of the Senate. The House Business Committee is not the Senate. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to persuade my brother to look at the standing order and not point Aspasia on the House business, but call upon the entire House to amend the law as well as amend the standing orders so that a formula can be brought which will not solicit the debate that people will need to decide that people have already made up their mind. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd like you to find my dear brother out of order.
Senator Kajwang, the decision as to whether to go the committee way or the plenary is a decision to be made by the House. The SBC can only facilitate a member wishing to bring a motion on the committee. In this regard, the SBC facilitated the tabling of the motion by the Senator for Narok. But the decision ultimately is supposed to be done by the House.
Speaker, because it's a matter of interpretation, I do not necessarily have to agree with you, Mr. Speaker, because if you look at Standing Order number 81B...
Senator Kajwang, the chair has ruled.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will not challenge your ruling.
Please,
but
proceed to
what standing order, and I'm not challenging your ruling. I am proceeding with what I wanted to say.
Proceed,
that
please.
the standing orders, the only thing that requires a resolution is a special committee. The plenary is the default mode of operation of this House. If you want a special committee, you bring a resolution. You seek a resolution of the House. Otherwise, by default, this Senate is supposed to process impeachments in plenary. Special committee is an exception that is acquired through a resolution of the House. And I'm not challenging, Mr. Speaker, I am not challenging the tabling of this motion, because this motion seeks the resolution. Yes. So there's nothing wrong with the motion. But the default position of the Senate is to prosecute in plenary so that all of us can be present. Mr. Speaker, I want to finalize by saying that let us be extremely careful so that those people in the county assembly, in Meru, and in the entire nation does not start looking at us through the coalition colors and through the coalition formations. This debate has been fairly poisonous, and it is exposing some bias that might be prejudicial to what we will be dealing with in the next couple of days. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Senator Ledama. Senator Ledama. Order. Order. Senator Chirange. And I need Senator Kajwang. Okay. The mandate of the Senate is to prosecute this matter at the plenary. However, the Senate, in its own wisdom, can decide to form a committee. Yes. Senator Chirange.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose the motion from the onset on the 3 reasons. One, Mr. Speaker, the trophy and the defenders of devolution today in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir, goes to the great members of County Assembly of Meru. Mr. Speaker, I hope many MCAs should benchmark with the wonderful work that the MCAs of Meru are doing. They have been very consistent and patient, and I want to laud them for taking the bold step, Mr. Speaker. You know, unfortunately, governors have made most of our MCAs as their partners in bad governance in counties, Mr. Speaker. This should be a warning to many county governors that when you have MCAs who play their rightful role of oversight, Mr. Speaker, then it is very important. So I allowed, Mr. Speaker. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, there are reasons as to why standing order number 80 and section 33 is very clear. Mr. Speaker, when we prosecute either by committee or by plenary, Mr. Speaker, I want to invite most of the colleagues who have never had the privilege and rare opportunity of prosecuting to plenary, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order, Senator Eddy?
Freeze my time.
Mr. Speaker, I rise at the point of order of limiting debates. Mr. Speaker, the Senator for Nandi has just prosecuted on this matter conclusively. Stood in front of this House and gave a judgment on the work of MCAs and on the personality of the governor for Meru, which in his own wisdom, what you read as charges that were forwarded before us, the governor stands guilty. Mr. Speaker, the debate that we are having here is whether we are going to prosecute these matters on principle in committee or in the plenary. Is Senator Cherargei in order, Mr. Speaker, to make a judgment on substantive issues that we are yet to discuss as a House, Mr. Speaker? And Mr. Speaker, in your ruling, Mr. Speaker, I find this one grossly disorderly, Mr. Speaker, given that you had given Senator Cherargei a lot of warnings, Mr. Speaker, and I think that he's doing this deliberately, Mr. Speaker, perhaps to actually disregard the orders that you're giving, Mr. Speaker. I think you should find him in order, Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you so, and throw him out of this House, Mr. Speaker, because he's reducing this House to a mere theater of jokes, Mr. Speaker. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chirange, I gave the guidance when I was giving the communication. What is before you is a motion to pass a resolution for special committee. Either you're for it or you're not for it. The substance of the impeachment cannot be the subject matter of any senator's contribution here. It's either you're opposing and you give the reasons why you think the plenary will be a better forum to handle this matter. Kindly avoid delving into the substance of the impeachment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm well guided, but in the words of Burning Spear, there is saying that we are not all that stupid, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to borrow in the words of Lucky Dube, Mr. Speaker, the reggae, that justice, fairness, and social equality should be the cornerstone, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the reason I'm saying is we need to ensure that there are principles of natural justice. Mr. Speaker, plenary, Waititu case, Songo case, among other governors that were, we listened to, Mr. Speaker, through plenary, it gives opportunity to new members to learn. Because Senate should be the learning curve to expose them, Mr. Speaker. The committee way is limited because at the resolution of the committee, I had a misconception and misleading the House at some point by some members that saying Senate will have the second bite on the cherry. It does not have, Mr. Speaker. Because when the committee sits and agree that governor is not guilty or not guilty, Mr. Speaker, then that matter ends there, Mr. Speaker. So we are ready to listen to the plenary way as we listen to the tunes of guitar, Mr. Speaker, so that we understand. Be very keen and be very to listen, Mr. Speaker. So I propose that we go to plenary way. I have been the champion of plenary way on the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, so that we have opportunity, Mr. Speaker, so that Senator Crystal Asige, and I want to inform members, Mr. Speaker, for benefit, because I rarely give out my advice pro bono, Mr. Speaker, but today I do it for free. Mr. Speaker, you have opportunity to cross-examine, to analyze, to look at the documentation, Senator Okiya Omtata, so that when somebody moves to court, the way Senator Okiya Omtata moved, Mr. Speaker, they will not question that Senate did not consider, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I oppose. Let us go to plenary way. And I thank my chair, Mr. Speaker. He is always brilliant. Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang is the man to watch.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, I can only pick a senator from this side whose name is on the dashboard. As we speak, the names on the dashboard are all from this side. So if you wish to speak, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say something which hasn't been said, that you see, and honorable members who are practitioners in the courts, Mr. Speaker, when a witness appears before you, you have the benefit of looking at that witness. You see the eyes, you see the demeanor of that witness, you appreciate even the voice in terms of presentation, whether that person is actually telling the truth. You have the opportunity to feel that witness. Now, since this Senate is going to be sitting as a court, Mr. Speaker, it's fair, and I'm trying to, appeal to the legal minds on the other side, that Mr. Speaker, since we are sitting
what is your point of
as
order,
a court,
Senator Mungatana, kindly yield.
I will yield.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I wanted, it's a point of clarification. Is the good Senator Mungatana trying to imply that people who cannot see will not be able to prosecute a matter? Is because we know very well that we even in Kenya have a judge who is blind, and he does a fantastic job and he does not see the witness's demeanor, their facial expressions, or anything else in terms of body language. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like some clarification from Mungatana if that point in his argument is actually factual. Thank you.
Senator Mungatana,
Mr. Speaker,
be sensitive on this matter.
I hardly wish to engage my very good friend, because we come a long way with the old man. So I don't want to go that way. But even if you have challenges in terms of visual challenges, Mr. Speaker, you still, when the witness is before you, you feel the voice. You feel it. And Mr. Speaker, especially for people who have been in these courts for a long time, you can actually tell whether a witness is telling a lie or telling the truth. So, Mr. Speaker, my point, which hasn't been said, is that we want the court, the entire Senate, to have the benefit of the witness. I want to see Kawira Mwangaza, because the last time I never saw her. I never saw her, I never heard anything from her. I just, the committee sat and then said she was okay. I want to see her. I want to see what is the problem. How does this person who is disturbing the entire Meru, how does she look like, Mr. Speaker? I just want to see. I support that we should have plenary. I oppose this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo. Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I must thank you because I landed back today from Angola, where you had appointed me to represent this country at the IPU Assembly. And that shows that you have confidence in me. Mr. Speaker, the same thing I can say, whoever put my name on this motion to be a member of the 11-member committee has a lot of confidence in me. Because, Mr. Speaker, I really was part of that committee previously. Maybe probably I bring institutional memory, and probably I know a thing or two. And that's why I'm standing here, Mr. Speaker, to support this motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have to support it because I believe the committee work is supposed to investigate and, of course, substantiate the allegations. Now, how does a plenary investigate, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I believe in the rule of law, in processes, because I know one day, one time, I'm going to be here, Mr. Speaker. What I'm trying to insinuate, Mr. Speaker, the only problem...
What is the point of order, Senator Cheriot?
Mr. Speaker, wouldn't it have been, I'm just curious, I've heard Senator Karungo say, how does the plenary do an investigation? Then my question to him is, how will you find out if you don't give yourself the chance to serve in a plenary? Because you've had the opportunity to serve in a committee. Do not be victim of the misinformation that is being peddled on the floor. I have told you, as your leader, and I cannot mislead you, that there is nothing that you can do in a committee which you cannot do in plenary, including questioning the witness.
That is more of a point of information than a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that information. I hope you freezed my time. Mr. Speaker, Senator Chute enumerated very well those who went through the committee and those who went through the plenary. May I inform this House that those who went through the committee, they are still in office, or they never left office. Those who went through the plenary, they are home today, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so, but my issue...
Order. If you have information to pass, you know exactly what to do.
Mr. Speaker,
Senator.
Before I'm informed, I am standing here to say that I believe in the committee way. The only problem with the committee is when they find out that grounds are not substantiated, we don't discuss that report. And that's why I have a bill that is in your office, Mr. Speaker. Probably it will be here, whereby we should always be going through the committee. But either, whether they find substantiated or not substantiated, it must be brought to the plenary for scrutiny so that we can go through it, all of us. But a committee will always do a good work by writing to offices. Now imagine, we want to stand here as a plenary and I want to investigate myself. Do I write as Senator Dhangwa or do I write to the Speaker for the Speaker to write to that office? But a committee has a chair.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to contribute to this motion before I decide whether to oppose or to support. Mr. Speaker, I was privileged to have served in the first impeachment as a committee member, and quite sincerely, I hold a favorable view that a committee will do justice to this impeachment process by getting the opportunity to be able to look in depth into the issues. However, Mr. Speaker, I was disadvantaged. It was unfortunate enough. The behavior that was portrayed during the first impeachment by members of this House, and members of this House were people who are not members of the committee, who really went ahead to give even derogatory statements directly in the face of committee members in the most disrespectful manner, without any justification whatsoever, that has really put a lot of, question mark on, the diligent investigation done by the committee and the decision that the committee undertook. And eventually, what came out is a situation that manifested a position of distrust within our own members here. And I want to go on record for purposes of, for the benefit of the people of Meru County, for them to understand we are not prosecuting anything at the Senate right now. We're only trying to agree on modalities of execution of the responsibility before us, and as such, there's no predetermined position. We're only agreeing which both ways are legal. I incline, because of that bad experience and the position of distrust that was portrayed by members of this House, that maybe for the benefit of them getting to understand the treacherous work that the committees undergo, to give them the opportunity for that to be executed through the plenary as suggested. Both ways are legal, and Honorable Speaker, I am not responding to my brother Kajwang, but there is nothing wrong, with holding different views, in terms of whether A or B, in terms of what is constitutionally allowed. And we're only taking that position. That is my take, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I oppose.
Senator Akenyi Beatrice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the position that we go the committee way. One, Honorable Speaker, from the presentations earlier, one of the senators indicated that we should give new members an opportunity to also get the experience of the committees. And Honorable Speaker, I've seen in the names that have been forwarded, Senator Sige is one of them. She had not been a member of an earlier committee, and so I want to support. That will be a very good opportunity for her also to experience the committee way. And Honorable Speaker, that should also follow that a number of us that are new in the next time will also get an opportunity to experience the committee way of dealing with impeachment. And Honorable Speaker, the second reason why I want to support going by the committee is that committees are also...
Order, senators. Senator Miraj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The committee will also ensure that the matter is dealt with clarity, Honorable Speaker, because there'll be fewer members, less time is spent in the deliberations. And so, Honorable Speaker, I support the committee way so that we also want to see the committee should also intensely study how over 3/4 of MCAs would vote against the governor. And that can only be determined by intensively looking at the matter in a more, where less members are. I therefore support the committee way, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Veronica.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. I rise to oppose this motion for the reason that Standing Order 80 provides for the procedure for removal of a governor. It provides either for plenary and provides for a special committee. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the functions that are laid out in Standing Order 82A and B, Mr. Speaker, the function remains the same for both the special committee and the plenary, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, just in line with the message you read to this House as you were detailing the charges that have come from the Meru County, it was clear, Mr. Speaker, that when Senate resumes as plenary or as a special committee to consider the charges that are levied against the governor, Mr. Speaker, either the special committee or the plenary will have the function to investigate the matter, and it will suit as a quasi-judicial body, Mr. Speaker. That means it will not be ordinary debate. It will be a body that will be investigative in nature. Any document that is presented, nothing will stop the Senate, the plenary, Mr. Speaker, from questioning any document, taking evidence, Mr. Speaker, calling and cross-examining any witness who appears before the plenary or the special committee. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I have found a bit of submissions that have been brought to this House, almost not in consonance with Standing Order 80. There seems to be a misunderstanding. Some senators are thinking that when Senate recedes to discuss or investigate this matter, they will be operating as a normal debate. That cannot be further from the truth, Mr. Speaker. And if, Mr. Speaker, the plenary is not good enough, then the special committee is not good enough. So if the plenary is good, if the special committee is good, then the plenary is good enough, because the special committee will be drawn from the same body of senators, Mr. Speaker. It's not outsiders coming in here. It's the same group of senators, Mr. Speaker. When it is in the plenary, Mr. Speaker, it gives an opportunity to many more senators to bring in their perspective, raise all the questions, interrogate the matter that is before the House, Mr. Speaker, and it brings a richness that comes from the diversity of the number of senators who will be sitting here. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I stand to oppose that motion and say that both should be treated equally, and what the plenary or the special committee will need to do is observe what is provided for under Article 50 of the Constitution to render a fair process to the governor when she appears here and to those who are complaining against the governor, Mr. Speaker. And for those reasons,
Senator Karen Nyamo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I have listened very carefully to my colleagues who are supporting the motion to have this process done in a committee, and I cannot state a single reason. They say no process is better, but the committee is better. Mr. Speaker, barely 1 year since Governor of Meru, Governor Kawira Mwangaza, appeared before the Senate on an impeachment motion. She is back again. And Mr. Speaker, the day that it was ruled in the County Assembly of Meru that the governor had been impeached, headlines were flowing. The conversation was national. And Mr. Speaker, such a matter that has elicited such interest, such national interest, it is proper as a House that we make the decision to have the plenary process, because it is more transparent, it is more inclusive. Kenyans want to know what is happening in Meru. And this process is going to give even an integrity to this House, because it is going to be open. Nothing is being done behind closed doors. And Mr. Speaker, a motion that Sifuna supports with so much vigor, I cannot be part of. Senator Sifuna, sorry. I must oppose it because for reasons best known to me and my other colleagues who agree with me. So, Mr. Speaker, we have precedents have been set before of successful plenary sessions that executed impeachment processes. Successfully, some saved the governor, and some sent the governor home. So, Mr. Speaker, let this House rise to the occasion and do what the country is expecting of us, which is to make this process as open as possible to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Miraj.
Mbona? Asante mstahiki Bwana Spika, na mimi nasimama kupinga hoja hii na kubaliana na seneta mwenzangu Tabitha ya kwamba sisi kama wanawake tutakuwa wachache katika kutoa mwelekeo wa impeachment hii. Kwa hivyo mimi pia naungana na walio wengi kusema hiyo hoja iletwe hapa tuisikize sote kwa pamoja. Asante.
Senator Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a staunch defender of women and women's rights, I stand to oppose the motion that has been tabled by Senator Ledama. Mr. Speaker, I've been on record talking about fair hearing. I've been on record talking about transparency, Mr. Speaker. And I believe wherever Governor Kawira is seated and watching and following, I believe that I speak on behalf of her thoughts today, that she wants to come to the public finally to defend and to tell us what is really happening, Mr. Speaker. And plenary offers her that opportunity, Mr. Speaker. As women leaders, we are tired of people insinuating that we are flower girls, insinuating that we are being protected. Let her come to plenary, Mr. Speaker, and defend her leadership and defend what she thinks or she assumes is good governance, Mr. Speaker. Because as women of this country, women leaders, Mr. Speaker, we are tired of being assumed. So, Mr. Speaker, I support that we go for plenary. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that I really want to question, since the last report was tabled of Governor Kawira's impeachment, how many of the 67 senators have actually read that report and can actually tell us that these were the grounds of letting her go? Mr. Speaker, we all know that we trust the committees to do the job and we trust their leadership, Mr. Speaker. And so therefore, when the report is tabled, we trust that the committee has done a good job. But for once, Mr. Speaker, especially for us new senators, we want to interrogate all these questions that are being raised concerning her impeachment, Mr. Speaker. And I stand here, I'm saying this as a staunch defender, a devoted and committed woman leader who really supports women leadership. We would like to see Governor Kawira in plenary so that she can be able to speak on her own behalf and even defend women leaders who are defending her out there. And if she's found guilty, Mr. Speaker, I will be the first one. I'll be the first one to say this woman must go home. And if she's found innocent, Mr. Speaker, I will be the first one again, yet again, as we walked with her down these corridors, to walk with her and show people that women leaders can be given a chance and they can deliver. So I don't think that there's an issue of what we are debating. Let Governor Kawira come to plenary and defend her position. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sige.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak to also this particular motion. And from the very onset, Mr. Speaker, I oppose the motion to subject this investigation before a committee. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time that the Senate, the governor is appearing before this House. And this is not the first investigation or impeachment motion that is brought before this House. From the time the Senate was established, we've had 13. Out of 13, Mr. Speaker, 3 have gone through plenary, 10 have gone through the committee. There is no harm if this one goes to the plenary. And for the following reasons, and that is why I'm opposing the motion, is that the accusation that if it goes before the plenary, there will not be proper or appropriate investigation is not founded on any basis. the team of senators in this House, whether from the minority or majority, will apply their mind. They will investigate on the evidence that will be brought before the House, subject the governor to an inquiry, and she will be given an opportunity to defend herself. There is no basis to say that there will be a better outcome if it goes before the committee rather than if it goes or if it comes to the plenary. And that is one of the main reasons as to why I wish this particular impeachment is dealt with before the whole House. Number two, Mr. Speaker, is what you've heard of the list of the senators who've been proposed to sit in the committee. We all desire to also learn. The majority leader has made reference to the fact that you can only experience by learning. We also desire to have an opportunity to question, to investigate, and to inquire from the governor before the plenary, because not all of us are able to fit into the 11-member committee. And for those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I oppose the motion that the committee way be the preferred way. And I thank you.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I arise to oppose the motion. And Mr. Speaker, as I do so, I want to say that there was wisdom. The drafters of the standing orders of this House gave two options, through plenary or through a special committee. But Mr. Speaker, both options will do one particular thing. That is to investigate, whether plenary or in the committee. Mr. Speaker, what is investigation? If you read in the dictionary, it says it is carrying out systematic or formal inquiry to discover and examine the facts so as to establish the truth. The question, Mr. Speaker, that arises is it possible in the plenary to undertake systematic and formal investigation? And the answer is yes. Just as also it is true that in committee, you can do the same. Mr. Speaker, when this issue came before the House, the first time the governor for Meru was impeached, Mr. Speaker, this House gave a chance to the committee. And Mr. Speaker, we know the consequences of that particular impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, today we have the second impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, I think it is prudent for this House, this time round, we should be able to allow plenary to deal with this matter, Mr. Speaker, so that we discover, we do the inquiry. And Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with what Senator Nyeri spoke about. We don't think better in special committee than when we're in plenary. In fact, to me, Mr. Speaker, the debate and the discussion in plenary will actually even be more transparent, open. Mr. Speaker, I think it is wrong for anybody to imagine that by having a plenary debate on this impeachment, then we are going to deny the governor a chance, Mr. Speaker, to prove our case. Mr. Speaker, the same standing order 80 is clear that this governor will choose to have a representation by a legal counsel.
Senator Seki. What is the point of order, Senator Sifuna?
With your kind permission, Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order 109, I would like to propose that we now call the mover to reply.
Senator Sifuna, go to Standing Order 110-4. I'll just read it for the benefit of your colleagues and yourself in particular. 1093, in fact. Do you wish to proceed with your point of order? No. Good. Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to oppose this motion on the impeachment of Governor Kawira. I want to take this opportunity to say that this Senate, this House, has an opportunity to understand more about the issues of Meru County, rather than going to the committee way. I suggest that and propose that we go the plenary way, because it will give us opportunity to hear for ourselves, to see what is happening in Meru County, and understand more problems that are coming from the governor herself. I want to take this opportunity to say that going the committee way, we tried that, and it is another chance that we also experience this opportunity to go the plenary way. I want to say that, yes, it is true. We have seen this House going through committee ways in different or with different governors that who have been impeached. But I believe that this process of plenary will give us a chance as new senators also to debate and also to give our contribution as delegations of counties to this motion. So I think I do oppose this motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as by Standing Order 80, the Senate, we have the two options, either to go to plenary or committee way. I want to speak as the chair of, I was the chair for impeachment motion for Deputy Governor for Siaya, and during that particular impeachment motion and process, Honorable Speaker, we were able to give both sides, the accusers and the Deputy Governor, enough time. We sat as a committee through the night looking at all the reports. From my side, Honorable Speaker, I believe the committee way is the best way to go. Honorable Speaker, members have an issue with the 6 members from Kenya Kwanza side who sat December last year when they were presiding over the impeachment motion for Kawira. I believe the reason why they were put there by the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, it's because they want them to bring historical memory. That's the reason why they are there, so that they can help to check if the accusations that have been brought again are the same. Honorable Speaker, it's not that when we have 11 members, the others, Honorable Speaker, when we did that impeachment process, the process was covered live. The people of Meru, the MCS from Meru, they'll be able to see, because all the media houses will be there covering live, the same as if we have it at plenary. So by going to committee way, we are not losing anything. If anything, we'll gain, because if the committee finds that there is substantiated allegations, then it will come to the committee. It will come to plenary. There'll be 2 options. I mean, there'll be 2 opportunities for the speaker, for the governor. Honorable Speaker, I support this motion and ask my colleagues, this is a bipartisan motion, just to agree on numbers on a committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Senator Kenywa.
Asante sana, Bwana Speaker.
But who has given you that permission to stand? Senator Kenywa.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
What is your point of order, Senator Mtata?
Order number 109, and ask that the move of the motion be now called upon to reply, because we are now bombing rubble. We are repeating ourselves. There's nothing new being said. So let the mover be called to reply.
Now, Honorable have a seat, Senator Folamu. You can take your seat, please. Now, Honorable Senators, Senator Omtata has read the mood of the House and is seeking for the chair to call the mover to reply. Now, will as many? No. Senator Maruma, take your seat. This is a matter we can dispense with in a minute. Okay? So I will proceed to put the question. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? So the ayes have it. Senator Ledama, proceed to reply.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. I rise to reply. And Mr. Speaker, I've listened to all our colleagues make contributions. And as I reply, Mr. Speaker, there are a few things that I think are important that must be clarified for particularly the new members who have come here, so that when you make a decision, either way, you know the beauty of debates, Mr. Speaker, is that you either for or against. My job is to persuade you to find it fit to support the motion, but with reason. Debate, when I was in school, I was taught that debate enriches skills. It also challenges you to be able to think outside the box. Mr. Speaker, during the submissions of our colleagues, one of our colleagues have indicated clearly that it is important for the governor to be able to come to this plenary so that she can be able to defend herself and all senators get a chance to cross-examine her. Mr. Speaker, I want to correct that assertion. When we sit as 67 members of the Senate, we'll only sit as a jury. The only thing we can be able to do is to seek clarification. You will rise and say, can you please clarify what you just said? The reason why, Mr. Speaker, I was persuading, and this is why I still want to persuade you, to consider the committee way is because that is the only option you will have to cross-examine any witness. Sitting here during plenary, Mr. Speaker, will all be juries. In fact, these televisions will be switched off, and then all of us, after the governor and the assembly have made their case, sit down to now consult and talk among each other as juries, 67 of us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is important that any decision we make as a Senate, we make it when we are fully informed. Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade the new members who have made an argument that they have not been given an opportunity to be able to experience a committee, and they want to be given an opportunity to participate in an impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, on our side of the divide, we propose new members. And in fact, out of the 11 members, we have proposed in total, for both sides, 4 women. That is above a third. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to note that we are discussing about precedents. We are discussing, Mr. Speaker, about procedures. whether committee, whether plenary. If you are sitting there thinking that in plenary, you'll get an opportunity to cross-examine a witness, the news is you will not be able to do that. You'll only be a jury. So those are the issues that we must consider, Mr. Speaker,
order, senators.
as we make our decision.
Senator Boni, and Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are a new democracy. In fact, now I'm happy that soon we'll be celebrating 60 years of independence. We have chosen a presidential system of governance. In the United States, Mr. Speaker, during an impeachment process, a group of representatives who are referred to as managers prosecute the matters and then submit. Once the charges have been read, they prosecute the matters and then submit a report for the full House to debate. We are quite far, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the issue of understanding issues to do with the impeachment process. And I know, Mr. Speaker, and I want to persuade my colleagues that I know that we are sitting here, and in most cases, Mr. Speaker, what drives us is our political affiliation, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind us, and as I persuade you, as I close, Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade you that whatever happens today, remember it will go on record. It is something which will be able to help build this Senate. I know as you sit there, you've made up your mind. But for the people of Meru, it is important for the people of Meru to know that today we are not prosecuting, we are not debating the issue
Honorable Senators.
of either to send the governor away. The only thing we are debating is whether
What is your point of order,
to give
Senator,
it to
for
11 members of the Senate to be
What is
able
your
to
point of order,
cross-examine
Senator, for
witnesses.
Senator Ledama.
Honorable Speaker, it is very unfortunate that I did not get an opportunity also to speak on this particular matter which is touching on my county. But Mr. Speaker, you know, Honorable Rendama, Senator Rendama convinced us enough. And I think he is just delivering his points that he gave us. So can you kindly summarize? Can you just summarize and then we make the decision? Yes. Yeah, you just summarize your reply. You don't need to, that is the reason why we could have been given 2 minutes each. Because I was on the queue also. It is not fair at all.
Senator Fomeru, indeed I am aware. Indeed I'm aware that this matter originates from your home county. However, if you look at our standing orders, the mover has 20 minutes to make a reply. So, Senator Ledama, you are left with 3 of the 20. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I thought I was left with 17 of the 20, but I will respect
the 3 minutes now. You have
within
2.
3 minutes, Mr. Speaker. I want to conclude as follows. You know, we can make all the noise. And, Mr. Speaker, please.
Order. What is the point of order,
Talk
Senator
to Senator Cherargei.
Cherargei?
Freeze my time.
Mr. Speaker, I needed for future engagement. I'm raising understanding order number 98, number 103, number 4748, and number 111. Mr. Speaker, I need your interpretation. When a motion is limited, after you have put the open for the debate, does it mean that the mover, when they are replying, are also limited to 3 minutes? My interpretation and the upshot in such, so that we don't go to conundrum, Mr. Speaker, is to have the mover to reply, to restrain themselves to 3 minutes, because that is the import of standing order number 111. So is it in order, Mr. Speaker, to request you kindly, understanding what number 1 and the import of standing order 111, to call the mover, Mr. Speaker, to just finish under 3 minutes, just like any Mr. Speaker, because this is like animal farm. It's not like animal farm where, Mr.
Senator
Speaker.
Fernandi, had you not shut up on a point of order, Senator Ledama will be through by now. I said he had 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you for the guidance. I just needed that clarity. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, you know my dear brother from Nandi loved to hear the sound of his
Senator
own voice.
Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just proceed to
All right.
conclude.
Let me conclude in 2 minutes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to conclude with the following. Number one, that it is important for us to know the facts of either committee or plenary. During committee, our distinguished 11 senators will get a chance to retreat, to go and write a well-thought-out report and come back here to be able to persuade us either to send the governor home or to save the governor. During plenary, Mr. Speaker, this will only take 2 days. There is no time to go and retreat. And looking at the calendar, Mr. Speaker, it is quite evident that maybe we'll have only the 7th and the 8th, and that's done. So, Mr. Speaker, as we leave this House today, and as my colleagues from both sides of the aisle make their determination on whether to go plenary or committee, remember that impeachment is a very painful process that I would never wish for anybody. So I plead with you to support.
Order, members.
My brother from Meru, I have a lot of tremendous respect, Mr. Speaker, for the Deputy Speaker. But the Deputy Speaker, being the Deputy Speaker, sits in that seat, knows the rules of debate. The issue here is this. Let us not make it a shouting matter. I am trying to convince you, if we bring Narok here, I'll be sitting here, you will tell me the same thing. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply, and I request you to support.
Thank you. Now, honorable senators, as you may notice, this is a procedural motion. It does not go to the substance of the subject of impeachment. It is a procedural motion. And therefore, pursuant to Standing Order 84-1, I will proceed to make my determination, which is it does not affect the counties, being a procedural motion. Senator Eddy, I will throw you out. And therefore, I will proceed now to put the question. At the end of the question, voting shall be by voice. Honorable senators, and I put the question. Senator Karen Nyamu, kindly walk in and take your seat. That whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, 25th of October, 2023, the Meru County Assembly, order members. How will you vote if you won't hear the question? Or what are you going to vote on if you cannot be still to hear the question? Order members. That whereas, pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, 25th October 2023, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference M/Cares Volume 4/43, dated 26th of October 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Friday, 27 October 2023, the Speaker of Meru County Assembly, Senator Cherangei, informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81(b) of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act
And Standing Order 81B, the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising the following senators: Senator Dr. Boni Kalwale, CBS MP; Senator Jackson Mandago, EGH MP; Senator Karungo Thangwa MP; Senator Esther Okenyuri MP; Senator Ali Roba, EGH MP; Senator Peris Tobiko, CBS MP; Senator Enoch Wambua, CBS MP; Senator Abdul Haji MP; Senator Okoeti Omtata MP; Senator Crystal Asige MP; and Senator Shakila Abdallah MP, to investigate the proposed removal from office of the governor of Meru County, and pursuant to Standing Order 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. Honorable Senators, order, order. If you're standing, you'll be counted with this side. Order. Order. Pardon? Order, order, honorable senators. Senator Boni. Now, before I allow the clerk to count, I'm giving you a second either to stand or to sit, because we're going to proceed to count. Order, Senator. Senator Ledama. Senator Ledama, you stand and keep quiet. You're not conducting a no. So, that's defeated. Now, honorable senators, the clerk has proceeded to count the senators standing. You are 14, and therefore is defeated. Thank you. Matthew had been. Clerk, proceed to call the next order, please. We go to this, sir. Order, order, honorable senators. Order. Clerk, proceed to call the next order, please.
Order number 8, the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bills number 34 of 2023, second reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the development, regulation, and promotion of the sugar industry, to provide for the establishment, powers, and functions of the Kenya Sugar Board, and for connected purposes.
Now, honorable senators, kindly take your seat. For those who are not willing to continue after that vote, please, you can wait your colleagues in the lounge, but don't disrupt the proceedings of the House. We need to proceed. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 45-2, I will again further rearrange the sequence of today's order paper. And Senator Fomeru, kindly take your seat. If you look at today's order paper, order number 19 and 20, these are orders that have been appearing in our order paper for the last 3 months, if not more. These are procedural matters that we can dispense with at this moment, and then we can revert to the original flow of today's order paper. So I will rearrange the business. We proceed to prosecute order number 19 and 20 before resuming the normal flow of today's business. Clerk, proceed to call that order.
Order number 19, motion, report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings held in Manama, Kingdom of Bahrain from 11th to 15th March 2023.
Senator Kathuri, proceed. Well, this motion is by the Senator Fomeru. The report on the 147th Assembly of the Interparliamentary. The report on the Manama.
Honorable
IPU
Speaker.
report.
Honorable Speaker. No, wait. Please give me time. Honorable Speaker.
If you're not ready, Senator.
I was not ready, and my mind also has no that temperament to prosecute that motion, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Proceed to call order 20.
Order number 20, motion, report of the Senate delegation to the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, CSW 67, held in New York from 6th to 17th March 2023.
Senator Fatuma Dulo. Yes, you can do that. Bana we.
How long will you take, Veronica? A few minutes. Honorable Speaker, this is the report of the Senate delegation to the 16th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, CSW 67. Honorable Speaker, I was honored to be part of the delegation that proceeded to CSW meeting in New York, and I will now present the report. The United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, is the principal global intergovernmental body exclusively dedicated to the promotion of gender equality and the empowerment of women.
Senator Veronica, please approach the speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I move the motion that the Senate notes the report of the Senate delegation to the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, held in New York from 6th to 17th March 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 29th June 2023. Honorable Speaker, I will now go to the report. Honorable Speaker, the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, is the principal global intergovernmental body exclusively dedicated to the promotion of gender equality and the empowerment of women. This is a functional commission of the Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, which was established in June 1946. The CSW is instrumental in promoting women's rights, documenting the reality of women's lives throughout the world, and shaping global standards on gender equality and the empowerment of women. The Commission holds a 2-week annual event where representatives of the UN member states, civil society groups, non-governmental organizations, the NGOs, the media, and other UN entities converge at the UN headquarters in consultative status with ECOSOC to discuss priority themes critical to the well-being of women around the globe. The 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women took place at the United Nations headquarters in New York from 6th to 17th March 2023. The theme of the session was Innovation and Technological Change and Education in Digital Age for Achieving Gender Equality and the Empowerment of All Women and Girls. In the first fully in-person session following 3 years of the COVID-19 pandemic, CSW 67 registered attendance from 181 member states with more than 7,000 participants, including 4 heads of states and government and 116 ministers, 205 side events on UN premises, and about 700 NGO parallel events. For the first time, the session included an interactive youth session with young people, youth representative of delegations, civil society, and United Nations organizations engaging in dialogue and providing recommendation on how to ensure young women and girls are part of the digital transformation. The Commission also benefited from important contribution from a wide range of civil society organizations, including the leaders and commitment makers of the Action Coalition on Technology and Innovation for Gender Equality, launched as part of the Generation Equality Forum. The Action Coalition on Technology and Innovation for the Gender Equality has made a significant contribution in cementing alliances between governments, private sector, civil society, and the UN system, and in driving momentum and commitment to advance gender equality through technology and innovation. The Senate delegation to the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women comprised the following: Senator Fatuma Adan Dulo, CBS MP, who was leader of delegation; myself, Senator Veronica Maina, MP; Senator Betty Montet, MP; Senator George Mungai Bogwa, MP; Ms. Michelle Bibi Fondo, Deputy Director, Speaker's Office; Ms. Josephine Kusinyi, Principal Legal Counsel, Secretary to the delegation. On behalf of the delegation, I wish to thank the offices of the Speaker and the Clerk of Senate for the support extended to ensure participation of the delegation in the event. It is my pleasure and humble duty to submit the report of the Senate delegation to the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women to the Senate for noting and action where necessary. The Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, first met at Lake Success, New York in February 1947, soon after the founding of the United Nations. From its inception, the Commission was supported by a unit of the United Nations that later became the Division for the Advancement of Women in the UN Secretariat. The CSW forged a close relationship with non-governmental organizations, with those in consultative status with the UN Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, invited to participate as observers. From 1947 to 1962, the Commission focused on setting standards and formulating international conventions to change discriminatory legislation and foster global awareness of women issues. Since the codification of the legal rights of women needed to be supported by data and analysis, the Commission embarked on a global assessment of the status of women. Extensive research produced a detailed country-by-country picture of their politics and legal standing, which over time became a basis for drafting human rights instruments. In 1963, efforts to consolidate standards on women's rights led to the UN General Assembly to request the Commission to draft a declaration on the elimination of discrimination against women, which the Assembly ultimately adopted in 1967. As evidence began to accumulate in the 1960s that women were disproportionately affected by poverty, the work of the Commission centered on women's needs in community and rural development, agricultural work, family planning, and scientific and technological advances. The Commission encouraged the UN system to expand its technical assistance to further the advancement of women, especially in developing countries. In 1972, to mark its 25th anniversary, the Commission recommended that 1975 be designated International Women's Year, an idea endorsed by the General Assembly to draw attention to women's equality with men and to their contribution to development and peace. New UN offices dedicated to women were established, in particular the UN Development Fund for Women, UNIFEM, and the International Research and Training Institute for the Advancement of Women, INSTRO. In 1987, as part of follow-up to the Third World Conference on Women in Nairobi, the Commission took the lead in coordinating and promoting the UN system's work on economic and social issues for women empowerment. Its efforts shifted to promoting women issues as cross-cutting and part of the mainstream, rather than as a separate concern. In 2011, the 4 parts of the UN system, Division for the Advancement of Women, DAW, International Research and Training Institute for the Advancement of Women, INSTRO, the Office of the Special Advisor on Gender Issues and Advancement of Women, OSAGI, and the UN Development Fund for Women, UNIFEM, merged to become UN Women, now the Secretariat of the Commission on the Status of Women. During the Commission's annual 2-week session, representatives of UN member states, civil society organizations, and UN entities gather at UN headquarters in New York. They discuss progress and gaps in the implementation of the 1995 Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, the key global policy document on gender equality, and the 23rd special session of the General Assembly held in 2000, Beijing +5, as well as emerging issues that affect gender equality and the empowerment of women. Member states agree on further action to accelerate progress and promote women's enjoyment of their rights in political, economic, and social fields. The outcome and recommendation of each session are forwarded to ECOSOC for follow-up. Methods of work. The Commission adopts multi-year program of work to appraise progress and make further recommendation to accelerate the implementation of the platform for action. These recommendations take the form of negotiated agreed conclusions on a priority theme. The Commission also contributes to the follow-up to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development so as to accelerate the realization of gender equality and the empowerment of women. Under its current methods of work at each session, the Commission convenes a ministerial segment to reaffirm and strengthen political commitment to the realization of gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls, as well as their human rights, and to ensure high-level engagement and the visibility of the deliberations of the Commission, including through ministerial roundtables or other high-level interactive dialogues to exchange experiences, lessons learned, and good practices. B, engages in general discussions on the status of gender equality, identifying goals attained, achievements made, and efforts underway to close gaps and meet challenges. And C, convenes interactive expert panel discussions and the other interactive dialogues on steps and initiatives to accelerate implementation and measures to build capacities for mainstreaming gender equality across policies and programs. D, it also considers one priority theme based on the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action and the outcome of the 23rd Special Session of the General Assembly and linkages to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. E, evaluates progress in implementing agreed conclusions from previous sessions as a review theme. F, discusses emerging issues, trends, focus areas, and new approaches to questions affecting the situation of women, including equality between women and men that require timely consideration. G, it considers in close meeting the report of its working group on communication. H, agrees on further action for the promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women by adopting agreed conclusions and resolutions. I, contributes gender perspectives to the work of other intergovernmental bodies and processes. J, reports on the aspect relating to gender equality, and the empowerment of women of the agreed main theme of the Economic and Social Council in order to contribute to its work. And K, celebrates International Women's Day on 8th March when it falls within its session. Kenya's country position paper on the 67th CSW. Kenya prepared a country position paper, CPP, to articulate the country's position on the 67th CSW priority theme. Yes. Mr. Speaker, I stand guided, and I want to give the observations that were done by the delegation. Those would have been good to see what Kenya presented, Mr. Speaker, but I believe the report will be availed for the senators to take note of that. The delegation observed that there was need to move beyond the focus on access and ensure women are equipped with the knowledge, awareness, and skills to leverage connectivity for their economic and social empowerment. B, that data is important to make informed decisions, and there is need to continually collect comparable sex disaggregated data to monitor progress towards meaningful connectivity. C, policies and programs should be rolled out to facilitate access and subsidize smartphones and other digital devices for women and girls. D, there is need to develop online content and services which are accessible to women with limited literacy and digital skills. And E, Parliament as an institution should consider hosting a side event during the 68th session. Recommendation was the Senate delegation to the 67th session on the Commission of the Status of Women urges the Senate to note this report. The report, Honorable Speaker, contains much more information and the many side events that the delegation attended, and it would be very good if Senate notes so that we can make progress in gender matters. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would request Senator Munkatana to second the report.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to second this report, the motion to table this report before this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the mover of this report that it be adopted by the Senator, the Honorable Senator Veronica Maina. I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate the leader of the delegation, Senator Fatma Dulo, and all the senators who accompanied this delegation. Mr. Speaker, every time we talk about women issues, Mr. Speaker, I am the first one to support because, Mr. Speaker, I'm a product of a very strong woman leader called Martha Mungatana, my late departed mother. May God rest her soul in peace. Mr. Speaker, my mother went to the Beijing conference, the United Nations Beijing conference, and we had a very strong paternalistic system in the house, as it is in most African countries, where my father was everything. But very interesting things happened in our family setup when my mother came back from Beijing. Mr. Speaker, We were taught a lot of things by my mother. She told us it is not just my sister who is supposed to cook. We are supposed to learn how to cook, how to look after the home, how to take care of ourselves, because we need to be good men to marry good women in future, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in fact, I can dare say that she laid a foundation in leadership in Tana River, which I was a specific beneficiary. Because, Mr. Speaker, when I went for the seat of MP many years later, everybody would ask me, if you are the son of Martha, you don't need to campaign here. We shall support you. So, Mr. Speaker, I mention this because women in our country have made great contributions. And, Mr. Speaker, those days of the United Nations, breaking the barriers, bringing the one-third rule, we have made great progress, Mr. Speaker. Even in this Senate, in the Constitution, we created a special provision to make sure that we never fail in the one-third gender rule. Mr. Speaker, we have come a long way. But this particular session that our colleagues attended, Mr. Speaker, was focusing on the digital. Mr. Speaker, in seconding this report of the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, some of the things that they talked about, we would not have been talking about many years ago. We would not have been talking, even visualize them at the time of the UN, decade conference in Beijing, or even the time that agitation started for women's rights and the one-third rule. Mr. Speaker, this time now we are talking about women in the space of technology. And Mr. Speaker, I'm impressed by what they did when they went there. And Mr. Speaker, in particular, I was very happy to see the Kenya's country position on this matter, because they summarize that in Kenya, we have set 4 pillars: the digital infrastructure, the digital government service, product and data management, digital skills, digital innovation. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that in our country, we have come a long way. We have accepted women leadership, and now we are accepting women in the technological sphere. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the latest move by the Kenya Kwanza government, led by President Ruto, recently, Mr. Speaker, we witnessed the launching of the smartphone, which costs 6,000. Mr. Speaker, it is a very fantastic idea, Mr. Speaker, which has gone a long way towards helping the women who are working in the shops, the women who are working in the mama mbogas, the women who are doing small-scale businesses. Because, Mr. Speaker, with that kind of facilitation, we are helping our women to take one step ahead of the others. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to again emphasize that Kenya as a country, and indeed our nation, under the leadership of the President, has done very well. And I just want to emphasize that recently, even our own political party, the UDA, we have actually gone out of our way to amend our constitution so that if the chairman is a lady, the deputy must be a gentleman. And if the chairman is a man, the deputy must be a woman. And that follows for all the positions. So this reflects the kind of thinking, and we thank our delegation that went there. And indeed, we pray that this report, where there's action to be taken, will be moved in the various ministries. And I really congratulate them and keep up the spirit. There should never be a reverse gear on the gender issues. It doesn't matter how much resistance you get on the way, because we have all come a long way. And I know with time, this country will be even better than it is today. With those very many remarks, Mr. Speaker. I beg to second this report. I thank you.
Order number 17, the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2023, second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to the provision of the Senate Standing Orders 1461, I rise to move that the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill 2023, Senate Bills number of 2023 be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill seeks to, it's a bill that has come at the appropriate time while we continue, Mr. Speaker, to struggle and fight against castle rustling, banditry. Mr. Speaker, you have to appreciate where it has come from. Mr. Speaker, the issue of banditry, the issue of cattle rustling continues to be a problem, Mr. Speaker, in the North Rift, in Central Rift, like areas like Baringo, in other areas, Mr. Speaker, that have given. And therefore,